Wrestling Underground Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Chad Bordeaux, and joining me is the glorious one himself, Marcus Green. Marcus, how are you?
Good, man. I'd be back talking some wrestling.
We got wrestling to talk about today. We got some big convos to have. By the by, Marcus, we it took us nearly 4 hours, but we were able to finally compile our wrestling awards of 2020. Turns out it was harder than we thought, considering there was just so much drab and so many companies were off, and but we were able to put together, I think, a mostly successful list, and we'll be
Yeah,
debuting the polls on Monday. So that'll be fun. Marcus, I know for me it was a little bit of a struggle to think of all the categories. How did you feel, compiling all this?
a bit of the same, man. Some was harder than others. Some, me, you, and shout out to the Swish, man. Um, we definitely had a lot of fun reminiscing. Some of it was cringeworthy because of what we had to think about that we thought we wiped from our minds. But yeah, I think for the most part, we got some real solid, obviously solid categories with some solid picks in there. Like I said, some was harder than others, but some stuff, like I said, just so much stuff that happened, we honestly forgot certain things that were actually good. But yeah, it definitely was a fun time. Like you said, almost 4 hours, but it was a fun almost 4 hours.
Yeah, and to be fair, Marcus was the one drudging up all the terribleness.
I'll bring up a Nazi humper one time. Meanwhile, Chad blasphemes me with Thai shit and Dinkelberg of New Japan.
So we're sitting there and we're like, well, who else? Like, who had a big year in New Japan? And I was like, well, because we're talking about tag teams. I'm like Sabre Jr. and Taichi won. And Taichi's Marcus's favorite wrestler. And Marcus just, I can't see his face, but I can tell he is going red in with rage.
I know I had like a really quick snapback when I got mad, just balled my fist up as I got ready to punch in the keys. I was like, damn it. I was like, okay, what did JY do this year? Screw it. The Nazi helper in the tag team.
Thankfully, I don't think either made the list. All right. Well, let's run down Survivor Series real fast. I skipped it. It was a terribly built show, and there was nothing on I wanted to see. But let's talk about it. Dominic Mysterio came in second to last, or second to champion, runner up. That's what I was looking for. To the Miz. I don't know why. All right. uh,
Yeah, baseball slid Miz as he was laying on the apron to the floor, and I guess he just assumed that meant it was over the top rope elimination. Good one, kid. Real good.
Good job, buddy. Basically, the Bobby Hill of pro wrestling. Team Raw defeated Team SmackDown, at least the men's match, I should say. Styles, Lee, Sheamus, Braun, Riddle, and Omos. Is that his name, Omos? Am I saying that right?
Who you talking about? Almost. Oh, you
It's,
talking about the big? Okay,
yeah,
security guy, yeah,
Styles
something like
is
that.
large, non-refundable bodyguard.
His black companion. That's absolutely a guy that would be on that site. But
He, he, we all know that Styles just doesn't talk about anything political anymore because every time he does, Omos just stares at him. When I was growing up in Georgia, the black community. I mean, how are you? Almost just stared at. How
yeah,
is that man 7 foot tall? 'Cause that man looks like he's 7 foot tall.
I don't know. I just feel like you make Titus O'Neil Molly look like a cruiserweight or something. Um, something. But funnest part of the match, like let's just say Seth Rollins and Matt Riddle aren't exactly our favorite two guys,
Shocking.
but of all the bull crap that Seth Rollins has said over these last few years, the one thing he has clearly absolutely stood on is saying that there's no scenario in which he would um wrestle Riddle. So he literally sacrificed himself at the start of a match to a bro kick and got the F out of there. He said, there's no scenario where he could be in the same chair spot with Riddle. I just thought that was hilarious.
You know, I have to give him credit. We often call him, in your vernacular, a Nazi humper. In my vernacular, a Nazi fucker. But we've never actually called him a Nazi. So at least Seth has that going for him. Like, on the scale of douchebaggery, Seth's at like a 6. Riddle's at a 9.5. Like, the only way Riddle could be worse than what he is if he was a Nazi who sexually assaulted women, allegedly. Like, that's the only way. Like, if Riddle's hardcore racist and just a shitbag human being on top of it all, he'd be a 10. But right now, he's at like a 9, 9.5. Seth's only at a 6. So, yes, on the degree of suctitude, we definitely do root for Rollins over Riddle. So, good job, Seth. Just don't talk. I feel bad for that baby he's going to have. Could you imagine being a child who has to grow up listening to Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch serenade you to sleep? Yikes.
Imagine being that child. Imagine being that child as a kid and they name him John for whatever reason.
John! Yeah! I apologize for nothing.
Oh, man.
Speaking of apologizing, we could use one for this match. The Street Profits. So, Marcus, I got to admit something to you. A prophet is someone who speaks unto a group of people. So I thought these guys were street prophets, you know, guys who go out and talk about things and whatnot and all that goodness. Marcus, I swear to God, I didn't even realize that they were street money makers. Marcus, I swear to God, I was looking at it last night or Sunday night going, wait a second, because I was like Googling them. Like street, P-R-O-P-H-T. I'm like, wait, why is it correct? God damn it, profit as in financial profit. What? It took me 2 years to fucking put that together. Oh, Marcus, I'm so dumb. I'm so dumb.
To be fair, you would never had any proper motivation to check it out, to see that in the first place, but I get it.
I just assumed. I thought they were like doing the Black Pope thing.
Ironically, though, that is kind of what they were doing in the earlier days in NXT, going outside the Performance Center in the parking lot, the crowds of people with the cups, kind of just spewing some of their jargon.
See, so, that's why I assumed.
Yeah, to your point, that's how it started. Like, what's the thing for 2020? How it started versus how it's going?
Yeah. So I thought you would laugh about that because, like honest to God, I was like, wait, how did I not know that? How did I not see that? They defeated the New Day with Big E. Apparently, they're back together for one night only to sell Gears of War. I think this game will have the New Day and Batista in it, and I'm sitting here going, I don't care. I don't need Gear-tista. I'm good.
Geared.
Speaking of being good, remember when Bobby Lashley was actually like, the top of the card? I do.
Yeah, another company. Yeah. Don't let people know that, though.
No. He defeated Sami Zayn in a match that apparently needed outside interference, if I read that correctly. That's disappointing. Like, Bobby Lashley could legitimately be a world champion in an actual sport. Sami Zayn is about 12 degrees down center from being where he was 6 years ago as a wrestler. He's not as good as he used to be. In fact, I would say Sami Zayn is very much near the end of his career. He definitely has lost a step. And to be fair, I think he's, 38? I'm going to check. I'm pulling up his wiki. He's 36. he's wrestled a long time. He's always had a very physical style. He's gained a lot of weight, especially when you look at him, say, 2010. You look at him now, he's definitely bulked up a lot. He's not as nimble as he once was, and the injuries, I think, are taking their toll. I just don't understand why this match was on the card. I mean, I get it, champion versus champion. That's fine. That's kind of the theme of Survivor Series, at least what it should be. If it was done better, it would be a lot better. But I don't know. Lashley shouldn't be struggling with Sami Zayn. I don't care how much you want to make the Intercontinental title look strong. Don't put on Sami Zayn if you do.
It's crazy. He got it off of. I mean, obviously, you know, it went from Styles to Jeff to Zayn. I wish Styles would have still been on SmackDown. It would have been Styles versus Lashley. Now that's a match.
Yeah.
I was mildly. It was mildly excited for this because in my mind, because I wiped the particular garbage that was the last time that him and Lashley squared off with that sister garbage from my mind. I'm like, okay, we haven't seen this before. Then I had to go down memory lane and remember that trash. So I was mildly excited for this because I'm like, okay, Zayn's been showing somewhat of a new side of himself. He showed off in that last pay-per-view ladder match that I thought was probably the best match on that card. But that's not what we got here. And it's funny talking about Lashley. This is the best he's looked since he's came back to WWE in terms of his presentation with the business. But still, we all know, you know, he could be doing more. But this for him is far better than being the cuck well, I guess Rusev was the cuck, but it's better than where he was.
Yeah,
still, neither one of the titles are relevant right now.
It's better than being in a PG-13 version of Blacked.
Yeah.
Moving on, Sasha Banks defeated Asuka in a champion versus champion match. I was told by you or someone that this was, I think it was Swish, that this was a good match, I guess. I don't know. I don't care. It's the same 6 women fighting each other. Like, all right, we get it. We're good. Then we get the 5-on-5 Survivor Series women's match. It's Bianca Belair, Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, Bayley, and Natalya, a.k.a. Bianca Belair, Ruby Riott, my fantasy girl, Bayley and Natalya versus Shayna Baszler, Lana, Lacey Evans, Peyton Royce, and mask-denying, COVID-denying. I can't think of the goddamn word for what the thing you shoot into your arm. Penicillin. No.
Oh, hilarious. Vaccine denying.
Yeah, vaccine denying. Nia vaccine denying Jax. Deny-ya Jax.
Deny-ya.
Deny-ya Jax.
Oh, we still got it. Deny-ya Jax. That's it. That's a new name.
Don't care who won. This had to be terrible. 23 minutes when you have people like Baszler and Evans and fucking Liv Morgan and Natalya. Jesus Christ. That's got to be a torture match.
They had perfect opportunity to make this a freaking in the early 2000s when Orton had those back-to-back Survivor Series solo man victories. They could have made the perfect moment like that for Bianca Belair, and instead they just fed her to Jax. In a way, they ended up both getting counted out, and because Lana was basically demoted to the ring, standing on the ring steps via Deny-ya Jax and Baszler, she was the last person on her team. Well, she won.
Hey, to be fair, it's not like it matters. They're all pretty much jobbers at this point. Even Bayley doesn't have any pop anymore. That's what happens when you draw a feud for 14 fucking years.
Well, we know they all waiting for the Queen to come back, Chad. Nothing works until the Queen comes back.
See, it doesn't even matter if she doesn't come back or does come back because they're just going to find someone else to have that role. It's not like they can actually have, creativity. Don't they have women's tag team titles they should be defending? Whatever. I'm done. Moving on. Roman Reigns defeated Drew McIntyre and don't care. Apparently, I'm going to assume that Drew McIntyre passed out because it says here on Wikipedia by technical submission. Is that what happened, Marcus? Did Drew pass out?
Yeah, I think he did. I think he did pass out because Roman ended up getting aid from his oos, and because he hit the spear, but he kicked out. It was a hell of a match. They put out a hell of an effort. Ultimately, nothing on this show mattered. Um,
I'm
because this
shocked.
was a thrown together. So much so that they did a last week title change just to get this match on the card to sell it. But yeah, that's basically what happened. He does the guillotine now. So
You know, I actually have no problem with that. The problem that I have with Roman is that he's in the WWE.
that's a pretty strong argument.
Right? Like it's irrefutable. It's like I don't know. I don't think that guy's I don't think it's so good. Well, why are you gonna say that? Well, he's in the WWE. That's fair.
That was the perfect parallel to the Stewie moment. It's not that I want Lois dead. It's just that I don't want her to be alive right now.
That's a solid Stewie.
Like,
Nice, nice.
like,
Obviously, the selling point of Survivor Series was Undertaker saying goodbye to all of his friend takers. This company doesn't take itself seriously. I ain't gonna take it seriously. And obviously, they double down and do the whole Paul Bearer hologram. And like Marcus, you mentioned that it maybe it brought a little sniffle or a little tear to your eye, and that's fine. I found it to be just kind of gross because of the reasoning why they did this in the first place. This wasn't to say goodbye to the Undertaker. It was to goose the views. Like it was announced like what 2 weeks ago.
yeah, yeah, he did on the whole promo run. It's real when he's doing I think he did a live with Snoop Dogg,
That had to be
and,
interesting.
and, and he did a Hot Ones.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. Obviously from home, but it was a Hot Ones.
Texas's best. He's not a mortgage broker. He's a realtor. Texas's best realtor is doing hot ones now. Ha! Look at that. So, like a bunch of people came out. Whatever. They all left. Then Taker came out. Well, actually, Vince came out, cut like a drolling, rambling, just incomprehensible fucking promo where he called his company the WWF. Good one, Vince. Then Taker came out, did his Taker stuff, said that he's here to rest in peace, and then he does the little thing to Paul. Denny leaves, and I'm sitting here going, and he did this for his tout or his OnlyFans. I don't know, because like the only thing that they've been promoting is like Undertaker's on social media now. I don't know what the hell, like Discus FM, like what is he on anymore? Ask FM.
Yeah, he's hilarious. But yeah, he's doing those. I'm guessing you're familiar now with those cameos. That cameo
Yes,
site where
that's what I was
celebrities.
trying to. That's what I was
Yeah,
trying to remember.
that's what, and I saw one, and apparently, because people are paying premium prices for this type of stuff, so he's in the whole Undertaker get up doing like birthday shout outs and stuff like that. It's quite hilarious. But I would imagine after how long he had to protect that character obviously of his own fruition, that it's kind of freeing now to just be him and not have to care so much because it's like I done made all the money, I done did all the matches. I don't have a 5-star anything left in me but maybe a conversation. So,
Can I just point out the parallel that I was thinking when you mentioned that he was doing these in garb? This feels very much like Randy the Ram Robinson from The Wrestler. He's putting on his garb to do, a 6-year-old's rest in peace, and like the 6-year-old's like, oh my god, Dad, who the hell's this old dude? I wanted a Roman Reigns, not this old turd. And Taker's just sitting there going, it sucks getting old. Poor Undertaker. He's having himself a day, that's for sure. Marcus, overall, how would you grade Taker's final farewell for 2020? Because we know that he's coming back eventually.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a B. Look for it to them to round it back to because apparently Vince didn't want it to end with that last ride thing. I'm obviously because you can actually promote this even though I'm pretty sure it kills him. He couldn't have did it in front of a crowd, but what could the old geezer do? 30 years to the day when he debuted is something pretty remarkable considering that a lot of his contemporaries aren't even here anymore.
Yeah.
Um, it is an amazing feat. Like I said, they put on the whole special effects show for him, and like I said, the Paul Bear thing, didn't necessarily get me too emotional, but it was cool to see because, like I said, I had just watched the story of the Mortician. They always do great with those type of stories, and he probably has one of the best stories of anybody to come through that company in terms of going from a fan to a legend. So, I'll probably get at a B minus.
Okay.
The show absolutely a D, absolutely dry humping a F.
All right. Well, let's switch gears to Impact. Some big things happened this week. I guess we finally established chronologically that Crazy Steve is now suicide.
What?
Yeah, I guess. Rohit faced off with Suicide in a match. TJP came out right when Rohit ripped off Suicide's mask and revealed that it was Crazy Steve. Crazy Steve wins with a roll up. And I think it was Matthew said something to the effect like, "Oh, Crazy Steve's been suicide," and I'm like, "Yeah, whatever, makes sense. Fuck it."
It's it, it's it's funny because Dream was doing an investigation about Bravo, but that's the real investigation because that dude went missing months ago when Swinger took his outfit,
Yep.
and nobody said anything.
Maybe
He's been missing for months.
maybe
Yeah.
Suicide actually isn't a person, and maybe he's just a costume. Maybe it's just like
This
like
is
a
this.
bodiless entity that walks around backstage.
Now this just makes me want to go back in time and put this entire character, take it out of the timeline of Impact and put him in Lucha Underground. Makes so much more sense.
Kira Hogan and Tasha Steeles went up over on the Swim Stars or whatever they're called. So that's the thing. Killer Kelly debuted in a match against Kimberly. I don't remember who won, so we'll just hop pack that. We got the Swagnominal one, Horn Styles. All right, listen, it's not as good as Deny-ya Jax, but still.
And I'm telling you, people, that's sticking for the rest of her career for her. Um, it, I guess we can say this is what became of the phenomenal fetus.
It was yours, AJ. How did that not become a thing? How did they not rip off the Vince McMahon higher power reveal where she pulls out the baby and just goes, "It was yours, AJ. It was yours all along."
To be fair, doesn't Hornswoggle look like something that would come from Atlanta?
I mean, yeah, if you drew a mustache on a 6-year-old, yeah, he could easily be a
As
stand-in for AJ Styles' illegitimate son with
as
Claire Lynch.
because as neutral as that man was before he obviously later started opening his mouth about all the stupid stuff, he even damn near called that woman a foot in the face.
Yeah.
So that's ridiculous. I almost don't even want to watch it because just to disrespect the thought, like him coming out to Little Pyro with his little gloves.
You know, they added Swagger to the roster page, so he's sticking around. But to be fair, they also added Davari to the roster page. So I'm happy about that. Because I like Davari.
Yeah.
We got Swan versus Shamrock in a pretty solid match. I've been very critical of Swan, not for any personal reason. I just don't feel like he has the aura of a main eventer. That doesn't mean he's not
Yeah.
still super talented. And he and
Hmm.
Shamrock had a really good match. And considering Shamrock is 56, so he does have his limitations. I thought Swan really pulled a good match with Shamrock out of this one. Swan retained, but the big moment of the night came when clearly it was edited, but Sammy Callahan once again brains Eddie Edwards with a baseball bat. The only difference is, like I said, this was edited. It wasn't like the first time where it was legit, but they gave Eddie like a blood pack. So like when Sammy busted him in the face, like they shot it from behind, so you saw Sammy driving the bat into Eddie's face from behind. So, like you saw like Eddie's back of the head and his back and all that. So you didn't actually see the contact. And then the camera cut away and cut to Eddie's face, and Eddie was like holding it, and there's blood all over the place. And I was like, well, this is something you can do with no audience. You can get away with this stuff. Because they also did some nonsense earlier in the night with Susie and Su Young taking advantage of the fact that they don't have an audience there as well. So, okay, this is interesting. I want to see what happens to Eddie now. Like we've been saying that Eddie's their best worker, but he needs some definitive, direction and not eating all the cheeseburgers would be a good start, Eddie. You got like 20 pounds you can cut.
You were supposed to work with Kenny, not eat him.
You were supposed to take Tommy Dreamer's loyalty ethic, not his work ethic. Or lack thereof.
Food time. But yeah, I mean, look, there was no way. I mean, because we had this conversation. So many people have had a legitimate problem with Callahan coming off of that thing, and we talked about how serious of a moment that was, and how serious both of those guys, specifically Callahan, took it. He even went on a press tour, which he wouldn't normally do because of the character that he has, but he wanted to put out the sincerity, and just got to a point where he was like, you know what, screw it. You're not gonna believe me either way, so we just go spin it. But I would imagine there was no way in hell they was gonna risk anything like that happening twice.
Right.
So, but like you said, the benefit to this is, like you said, one, they don't have an audience, and two, Impact is played fast and loose with a lot of mystical elements when it's come to certain characters on that show. We saw with, Scarlett, and obviously Susie, Rosemary, all the stuff with, them in the undead realm and all that stuff. And yeah, they this isn't the first time we can see something like that with them. So that's to their benefit. And Callahan being the thing that just won't die in Eddie Edwards' life is a unique thing. Obviously, hopefully we round him back to the world title. At this point, me and Chad are kind of just up in the air with the potential booking of everything, just because, I mean, they freaking brought Hornswoggle back. But I guess, he could be, some type of like miniature pervert that like you brought him in, but you got rid of Joe Ryan in the game. So I guess that's a pro.
Well, but, and also they did bring in Bashir, or goddamn it, Daivari, and they did bring in goddamn it, Joe Doring.
Oh yeah, Joe Doring. Yeah.
I'm really happy about that signing. Like Joe Doring, even though he's saddled with Eric Young, that albatross. Like Joe Doring is. I don't want to make this comparison lightly because it's a big comparison, but I think it's a fair comparison. He is this generation's Stan Hansen. Most modern fans, though, aren't aware of that because instead of applying his trade, because when Stan Hansen was in All Japan was the shit. Now New Japan is. But Stan Hansen did all his work in All Japan during New Japan's top run. So a lot of people don't know Joe Doring is fantastic. And he's got that sweet swagger that you want. Like, he's got that legitimacy air that, a lot of these guys don't have. And while I loved the Rascals and their creativity and their hilarity, like, you look at Wentz and Dez, and you just kind of go, you're not beating anyone up. Trey, maybe, because, like, Trey really bulked up during his run. But, like, especially Wentz, like, I'm not afraid of Wentz. Like, I'd smack the shit out of him. Like, what's he going to do? He's going to be like, that hurt. But, like, I know, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I just had to prove a point. But you look at Joe Doring and you're like, you're going to kill me. So, I like that ad. That's a good ad. Daivari's always been one of those guys I think is just highly underrated. And with him being Swole Daivari now, just jacked the gills. Oh, damn. His first name is actually Sean Swole Daivari. God, it's right there, Marcus. But like seeing him Jack now, like that's awesome. Like so, like they're slowly rebuilding this roster, and I think it's about time. The Swoggle edition, I'm not happy about. He's very untalented in the ring, but he's not uncharismatic. Like he did get over in WWE because of his charisma. It certainly wasn't
Yeah.
because of his mic promos or his fucking wrestling matches. Granted, they did pretty much make him an anthropomorphic, human being at that point. Like he was just a fucking caricature. But he got over. It's like I don't know. I don't want to go into that, fucking holding up the mirror against society and asking yourself if he should have been over. Like I don't want to go into that right now. Like Jesus Christ, that's a deep conversation I'm not ready to have right now.
Yeah, it's look, like I said, they could still be Joe Ryan could still be there. We've
Yeah.
seen this. We've seen this company unfortunately bungle worse situations, but look, everybody got their place. They certainly have a variety roster, and there's things for Swagger to do. I did appreciate the fact that when he came in, they immediately had um, I was finna call him Slater, but Brian Myers, who would not that high on either, but like I said, everybody got their place. Immediately just called him out. He was like, "You go around ripping off wrestling companies because people feel sorry for you or whatever. I'm not gonna let you do it." Like just calling out like real perceptions of him in the industry,
Mm-hmm.
and then bringing that into the store instead of just calling out like, "No, like I was in CMLL and I killed it." I'm like, where, where Swaggle did you kill it?
I think he
So
meant the market. He killed the market.
kill I kill marquees. That's what I do. Um, but yeah, so I appreciated that. And like you said, they got Joe Doring, they brought in Storm, Swole Davari, stuff of that nature, and obviously they kicking things up in the women's situation because obviously there was a spot to fill for the interim. So that's cool too, man. I'm glad they padding stuff out. You know.
So with the women, they brought in Killer Kelly. I forget who her tag team partner is. She's another NXT. I don't want to say reject, but she was also in WWE for a hot minute. But
Yeah.
the one that I'm really happy about is Jazz. She's gonna be Jordan Grace's tag team partner. I don't know how long Jazz wants to be in the company for, but like Jazz,
Yeah.
I know this is gonna sound weird because I think she's like 51, and she's already announced her retirement like 44 times. She's the new Terry Funk. But I love the addition, and I know she's a prison security officer. I think a corrections
Oh,
officer right now.
oh man.
So if she can get like 4 days off a month, she could still be on TV 52 weeks a year. I don't know if she wants that, but like this could be that thing that she's been wanting for the last few years to actually be featured again. And I don't think like she was never very athletic when she was in her prime. So like this isn't going to be a situation where her style will betray her. She's still going to be like she's going to lose a step or two. Obviously, like I've seen her wrestle lately. Over the last 3 or 4 years, she's not as crisp as she once was. But when you consider where she was at and where she is now, it's not that huge of a drop off. So it's like with Hulk Hogan. Bad analogy considering Hulk Hogan's views on certain types of people. But Hulk Hogan in 1984 didn't wrestle all that differently than Hulk Hogan in 2002. Like, he didn't really lose a step because his style was very conducive to his declining athletic prowess, what there was of. So I think this is a good opportunity for Jazz to have a really big run like Ken Shamrock and go out on top. And I hope she's, I don't want to sit here and be like, I hope she sticks around for a year because, like, she's done everything she can do in this industry twice. I don't know how much she wants to be back with. Like, I don't know how much she has left and wants to do, so I don't want to, put that pressure on her. But I would love to see at least a year out of her. I think that would be awesome. Especially in a tag team with Jordan Grace. Like, what? Oh.
Jazz coming behind Jordan, man. Just like, look, I don't need this tournament like that. Y'all good? Y'all just go ahead. I just catch that one. Mind my business. I'll just mind it. My business. I don't need. She Jazz looks like she looks in the industry where it's not always conducive to dainty ladies, and she's a corrections officer in real life. I want no parts of that. Just give me Jordan. I'll take a bear hug. Like if I
Can,
don't even that's some real business.
can we get some type of like fan made parody of the Big Boss Man theme for her?
See now I want them to go over on Rosemary and what you call it and meet Steels and Hogan in the main event
That'd be
and
nice.
put both my babies in stretch muscles. That that's a shot. That is a photographic moment right there.
That magic moment. So I'm very excited about the women's division right now. I think they're in a good place, especially with Jazz now entering the fray. I still think they are lacking on top talent, not in terms of talent, but in terms of name value. I would still say that Shamrock, Callahan, and Eddie are their three biggest names, but Doring is definitely someone that can elevate that situation. Swan, I'm going to give every opportunity to. I think the thing Swan needs to do is, he needs to do that Johnny Nitro to John Morrison change. Like he still has all the same shit he had when he debuted in the company. Like he
Yeah.
doesn't feel like a star. And now, I know with certain individuals and how they were raised and where they come from, things like hairstyles are very, integral to who they are as a human being. But when you look at like John Nitro, he had his hair blown out. CM Punk shaved his head for a gimmick. I would like to see Swan do something different with his hair. Maybe go full trunks, kind of like Bobby Lashley did. I think Lashley going full trunks was actually a good play for him aesthetically.
Yeah.
And go like he's very vibrant with his energy, and like he does have like some neon 80s style neons to his styles. Incorporate that to your gear. Like come out in neon pink and light blue. Like I think that would be a real sharp look. Like he needs to make himself into a star now that he's a headliner. And I think that's the biggest, issue that I have with Swan is that he still just feels like he's a mid-card dude, even though he wrestles really well.
Yeah, I tell you, he's quickly established himself as somebody that can be put in there with anybody and really go the distance. Like his work ethic, his work rate is almost second to none. But you're right, there is a certain allure and certain thing like there's no doubts from bell to bell, but then you kind of see him in other instances like this is the world champion, and I get it because everybody has their own unique individuality. I mean, we've talked about like how we're kind of over the long hair. I know you're over the bearded, swole like Viking. Nobody want to be a Viking or a motorcycle badass type of deal. Um, but there is a upgrade I do like to see with performers when they reach new certain levels. Like certain guys get to certain levels, they switch up theme musics, they add something, and it's little nuances like that. Like I've always appreciated guys when they got the big pay-per-view shows like WrestleMania when they went all out for their entrance because this is the stage and time where you do that. And I think guys doing that when they reach new phases of their career in terms of being a champion would also help.
Yeah, exactly. Like Rusev coming out on a tank. Like that was
Hmm.
awesome.
Yeah.
So like that's what I would do with Swan. But again, like I don't know. I don't want to like, ask the dude to do something that he's uncomfortable with, but he definitely needs to change up his look a bit. And this is the same shit we've been saying about Eddie. Like the reason why Eddie Edwards isn't seen by many people to be the guy is because he's let himself go recently. Like he's got the crappy beard. His hairstyle is just the worst thing in wrestling. He wrestles in mom jeans. He's got terrible Nikes or Adidas's. Like I don't know what he's wearing, but he looks like a dork.
Yeah,
Ex-
he went from your Wolves guy when he had the champion, like kind of the individual Wolf, if you will. Then he transitioned into the nutty, the guy with the kendo stick and the look he has now. And when he came back to his sanity, he kind of just he looks the same now, except he I guess is in his right mind now. So we
okay.
kind of needed to see like an evolution with that.
Yeah. I kind of imagine Swan as the dude who lives in a van at the beach and he just walks around in a robe and bunny slippers all the time. And like Eddie's the dude that wears like the same just terrible beer stained shirt out wherever he goes and his terrible green and black fucking jeans with like 68 pockets. He oddly smells of like tobacco and axe. Like y'all aren't looking like champions. And I'm just saying like if you want to be taken seriously, start looking like champions.
Then some a-hole privileged white preppy kids come by and just steal their stuff for the F of it, and then they they come together as a team and go find them and beat them up, and then as they're walking away and the kids are on the ground moaning, we're taking back what's mine.
A whole movie idea to play off one joke. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. Speaking of things not to hate, Marcus, you saw the restart, the MLW restart, now up on YouTube. Apologies, the photo we're using is not from the restart, but I think it encapsulates the restart. It's a photo of Jacob Hammerstone and Davey Boy Smith. Davey Boy Smith and Jacob Hammerstone arguably had the two biggest moments in the show alongside Jacob Fatu, so I thought it was a nice kind of way to set things up. Only 3 matches, but they're all really, really good. Fatu, well, we'll get there. Jacob Hammerstone took on, I don't even know who. It was like 14 seconds. He's the openweight champion of MLW, and he's the number 1 contender for the world title, or number 2 contender, I guess, because Davey Boy was number 1, and Davey Boy had Jacob Fatu in the main event. The second match saw, after Hammerstone won, the second match saw Myron Reed defeat Brian Pillman Jr. for the middleweight championship, which is, I think, 205 and under. This was a match that I think they saw differently 6 months ago before the restart, before they went on hiatus. I think they had real big plans for Brian Pillman Jr., but they ended up having Myron Reed go over, so I have a feeling that they're going to let Pillman Jr. go and go to AEW like he wanted. But Myron is a really good wrestler, and he's actually technically the 4th Rascal. So I don't know how long he's going to be in MLW for, because he might want to go to NXT with his buds. But he's got he was in that with his stable. Myron Reed's stable was Injustice, and he was in it with Kota Brazil, and Kota Brazil left the company. But now they have the third guy in the stable was, I always forget his name, but he's just the worst human being I've ever seen in wrestling. Marcus, I'm sure you saw like that Myron Reed Injustice a tag team promo from the show.
Yeah.
I can't remember what that kid's name is, but he's just Jesus. He's just the worst.
Is it Jordan Oliver?
Yeah, that sounds right. Like I look at, he's got like a wispy little mustache, and all he does is talk shit, and he's like 200 pounds of baby fat. I'm just like, ugh, nothing about you is intimidating. Yeah. Nothing about you is athletic. What are you doing?
He's the scrawny looking hype man in the rap battle that the guy that he's trying to hype up doesn't need.
He's the token white guy in every Nick Cannon show, so Nick Cannon can say he's not a racist.
And his album sales, y'all. We didn't know he put out an album, white guy. But yeah, I dug. I saw the man. That's kind of when I came into the show at. Because obviously I saw you tweeting about it. Like, oh, let me click on this, because thankfully, and I was like, wow, this kind of slides right in to replace Purr. Before NXT and AEW kickoff. But yeah, man, it's just some good stuff. Myron Reed, that was a good match and whatnot, and the fact that apparently he's calling out Rush. I dig that. I haven't seen Rush since his WWE tenure, so that's gonna be cool to see. But yeah, you tweeted about it, man. It got a real nice, intimate but gritty presentation that I appreciate.
Yeah, and I think Myron's the one who's like, I'm gonna dog walk you, and I'm just like, someone's a fan. Maybe it was Jacob Fatu. One of them said it. I'm just sitting going.
It was Fatu because he's the bulldog or something like that.
Yeah. I'm just sitting there going, wonder where he got that from.
I hope he downloaded this show.
I can guarantee you he did. We say dog walk garbage about 60 fucking times a show, so like, I'm just saying. Main event, Fatu, Davey Boy Smith Jr. Davey Boy wants out of MLW as well, so I guess this is his departure. I would imagine. He lost to Jacob Fatu in a really good match. Fatu is someone that they've kind of, and this is what I love. Like, he's been in a bunch of matches, but he's not been in a bunch of like big title bouts. But when he's in them, they are very special. Like, he faced off with L.A. Park, the OG La Parker from WCW, late 2018 or late 2019, I think, or late 2018, early 2019, And it was a really good match.
Yeah.
LA Park was like 52 years old. And it was still really fucking good. So he's deceptively a very talented heavyweight. And I like the weight classes in MLW. It allows to actually main event, non-heavyweights when you want. So that's pretty slick. I was a big fan of the match. I was pulling for Davey Boy. I'm a Davey Boy Jr. fan. He's been in wrestling since 2004, and I think he's 34. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a young vet.
I remember him debuting with Tyson Kidd when he had that little spike crown at the top of his.
Yeah, Tyson Kidd's little, like, what are you doing? What is that? It's just the worst. I remember Davey Boy being on Hogan Knows Best.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he was. Jesus Christ.
Hulk was trying to get Brooke to date him, and now we know why. Brooke, brother, he's white. Date him.
Oh, man.
What do you think of the main event?
No, I dug it. I liked it, man. Look, Jake. Look, I'm looking at him on the website. He looks like the 100% the reincarnation of Umaga, or as William Regal so regally called him, Umanga. He looks like the reincarnation of Umaga with a beard, man. Like, it's crazy, and he got the same, almost same attire. He moves like that in a way, but with was obviously more swag, and he talks. But yeah, man, it's just really cool to see, man. Like I said, that the Anoa'i family stretches, across the industry, and it's cool to see him be the world champion and have this aura about him. Apparently, he's a part of this group called Contra. Like I said, I'm getting introduced to this. I'm coming into the show for the first time, so I didn't feel like it's too hard to understand stuff. Like, it was cool seeing that little promo with Devon Eriks. That was cool and stuff, man. But I think they are smart to kind of lead the way with Fatu. Like, he literally feels like somebody that could clash with a Ishii or something like that.
Yeah, he's definitely a Haas. That's for damn sure. Post match,
his finish is a double jump moonsault. The freak.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Post match, we see the openweight champion Jacob Hammerstone come out to confront Fatu. Two cloaked member or two masked members of Contra try to attack Hammerstone. One loses his head quite literally. The other one is able to get the comeuppance on Hammerstone. So they're building up to a champion versus champion bout, which is the right call. Jacob Hammerstone, in my opinion, is the best wrestler who is ready to break out into primetime legitimacy. He's got the 80s villain bravado, where he's just he's so full of himself, but he also has a little bit of a kind of like a vulnerability to make him likable. Like, he's always talking about how ripped he is, but then he's also kind of a little unsure. He's also very talented in the ring, and he's always making fun of himself. So there's a very big likability with him. And the best part is he's always talking about getting the 80s Hogan tan. That's all he's going for is the 80s Hogan tan. That's his fucking goal in life. So he's very he's got a big appeal. And his tag team partner, Richard Holiday, is EC3 if EC3 didn't suck in 2020. He doesn't have the same frame as EC3, but he has that same type of look, same type of bravado. Like with EC3, he had his Aunt Dixie. Richard Holiday has his lawyer/father, who we don't see ever, but he always references him, calls him, and gets his dad to always fix things for him. He's got the uppity, privileged kid lifestyle, which is just a great gimmick. So there's a lot in MLW that I think you're going to enjoy.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm looking at this roster and I'm like, God damn it, the TJP again? I can't get rid of this kid.
And he's in New Japan now. Just won't leave us alone. By the by, before we move on to our last piece of news, Mike Bennett popped back up in Ring of Honor. So that's cool.
Nice.
He's hanging out with Taven again.
Okay.
So that's the thing.
I dig it.
We'll see what happens with that. But lastly, Marcus, not Lashley. NWA announced that they're premiering a new television show. It's going to be called Shockwave. It's going to premiere next week, more than likely on YouTube. And you can watch it a day early if you subscribe to their Patreon. because the NWA has no money coming in apparently. So that's a little sad.
Yeah.
Marcus, they're not bringing back Power right now because I believe that they want to do the studio show, and Power is going to be the studio show. But if you don't have fans, you can't do a studio show. More specifically, if you're not in a studio, doing the studio show in Atlanta was really like the big get for them. They don't want to bring that show back until they can, so they're going to go back to weekly television shows, but they're going to be debuting Shockwave, which is going to be shot in the same arena or same venue that they're shooting the Primetime Wrestling Live stuff. So, Marcus, one, are you excited for more NWA? It's not as much fun to say NWA as it is Power. Power is a lot more fun to say. Almost as fun as Deny-ya Jax, but we'll get there. So, one, are you excited to see more NWA? Two, do you think it's going to be anything like what we've been seeing with all of the recent talent departures? Because they've lost
Yeah,
half the roster.
yeah, I was finna say it feels like even if they brought back a crowd that was socially distanced, they still have more people in the crowd than they would on their roster. Um, and that's just point of fact. I mean, half the people is in AEW right now.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm interested because like I said that there's a lot of good with that potential product, even if it is severely watered down right now. I won't be. I'm not interested enough to subscribe to no Patreon. That's that's just facts.
That's only to get it
But
early, though.
yeah, yeah. So I'm just not that geeked, and I don't. This is probably the worst time to ask somebody like this. You're depleted, man. Like, what you gonna have? All this talking with Camille half naked or something for the keep attention on it. Like, I don't. It's gonna be interesting seeing what they do. I want to check it out because it is an NWA, and they I think they do deserve a shot. They got a real bad end of the deal, but that's basically 2020 as a whole. So I'm gonna check it out. I am more interested now in getting into MLW as my Wednesday night delight, if you will. Shout out time for Morrison, but yeah, I'm gonna check it out. Like I want the product to succeed, and just the potential of seeing um uh Tim Storm again. He seems like the one person that didn't leave, mostly because he has a legitimate job outside the company, and this was kind of like his side love, if you will. Yeah, I'm gonna be there to check it out.
So the current champions, if I remember correctly, the heavyweight champion or the world champion is still Nick Aldis. The national champion is Pope. No, the national champion is Trevor Murdoch. The TV champion is
Yeah,
Pope. And the tag team champions are J.R. Kratos and Aaron Stevens. And the women's champion is Serena Deeb. They've lost Jazz. They've lost Sienna. They've lost, assumingly, because like she's popping up on Impact now with her sister Ashley Vox. Marty Bell's gone.
still,
Tasha
yeah.
Steele. Thunder Rosa's still
Thunder
technically
Rosa.
there.
Oh, okay.
Technically, because like she hasn't signed anywhere else yet, so like who knows? And she hasn't announced that she's
Yeah,
leaving. And I'm like
yeah.
30% sure she has something to do with the Thunder production studios that they're in. Don't quote me on that. It seems like a odd coincidence. Let's see who else. They lost Ziggy Dice allegedly. He might be there. He might not be there. They may have lost James Storm. They've lost Kingston,
Ricky Starks.
Ricky Starks. Let's see who else. Who was the? They lost Wade Barrett.
Yeah, man.
So like that's what, 18 people, give or take. And that's just the ones we
Yeah,
remember.
all they would have left is the entire group of strictly business. I'm not mad at these champions, by the way. I might be solely tuning in just to see a Pope cut a promo.
Yeah.
Um, Serena Deeb is good to see her not only with a full head of hair, but seeing they've elevated her game. Um, and Trevor Murdoch deserves, like I said, to be the champion. Feels like that belt and him are tailor made for each other. So they got a nice selection of champions. It's just like we know what's missing. And it's hefty. Melina's gone as well.
That's right.
Um, Yeah, I don't know if she's retired again or she is hella delayed from debuting in WWE, which is not a benefit to anybody at this point, but whatever. Uh, but yeah, they got some decent champions. Just gonna be seeing what they do in the mix. Who do they get to replace Barrett, if anybody? We all know why Cornette's no longer there. Um, so it's gonna be interesting seeing how they switch stuff up. But I hope them the best of luck, man, because it's an alternative that we need.
To be fair, Corgan did pull some gems. Oh, they also lost their producer, by the by, because he was outed in the Speaking Out movement. Forgot
Oh
about
yeah.
that one. But,
Yeah, what about how they lost Drake? Real quick.
I think he's still there. Because I've seen him wrestle a few times on the Primetime Wrestling Live, so I would imagine he's still there. But we'll see next week what's going on. But when you think about it, like Corgan pulled Melina out, of the dust balls, like she dusted her off, put her back on screen. Same thing with
Yeah.
with Pope. I don't think he had wrestled for a whole year when he came into NWA. Same thing with he convinced Kingston to not retire. He brought in the Rock and Roll Express. He also brought in, I think Scott Steiner popped up at one point. Murdoch, Tim Storm's 53, 52. So like he's got a knack for getting guys who might be done or might not have been on screen for a while. Wade Barrett to come in and wrestle. So it's very possible that if Corgan's still committed to the NWA, maybe we see someone that we haven't seen in a decade. Maybe fucking Prince Iakea comes in. Just, I don't know, pulling out a name out of nowhere. Maybe fucking Air Paris or Matt Bentley. Who knows who he could go
What,
and get if he actually commits to, rebuilding that roster.
wouldn't it be like the one of the craziest twists of 2020? Is this where this is the place that we end up seeing after all these years? Uh, Monty Brown.
See, that would be funny. I thought Monty Brown would be amazing in NWA because like he wouldn't have to do much physically. Fucking CM Punk, who knows? Always the big get of the free agency wire.
I
Maybe his
want
wife.
that just so I could hear the heads exploding like from Kingsman of all the dweebs on the internet. No, you betrayed the NWA.
You betray the
Oh,
law. Law. Oh God. The second Dread movie was better, but the first Dread movie is just so hokey. It's just
so I am the law. Freaking Stallone.
law. It's just tasty, Marcus. It's just so dang tasty. Gotta love it, man. You gotta love it. So, the NWA has been hitting us with some surprises lately. Like, who knows who pops up?
Yeah.
So, there's always the possibility. Always a possibility that we see something that we didn't expect to see. We'll see. Next week. It's when they're back, and I like that they're like, hey, we're just coming back. See you soon. And I'm like, sweet. Because now I don't need to fucking
Yeah,
sit
man.
here and like wait 4 months like I did with the MLW. Like just pop up
Exactly.
and come at me.
Hey man, just bring it all the way back and just do an excerpt at the top of the song. Be like, back into the fire, into the fire. I miss that song.
That song is pretty legit, not gonna lie. All right, Marcus, any final thoughts? Anything else?
No, that's pretty much it for me. Unless something coming through last minute on the wire.
Let's see. Let's go check it out. Anything. G4 has signed a WWE star. I'm going to assume it's just fucking, yeah, Xavier Woods. So Xavier Woods got his wish. He's going to G4. Good job. Yay. Leo Rush debuted in UWN Primetime Live. So I'm just going to assume that Leo Rush and Sean Davari might be candidates for the NWA restart. Just going to assume. John Moxley claims to have used narcotics and then go read at local libraries when he was younger. That's a thing. We have not on the wire, but I wanted to mention this. Great Muda is going to be challenging for the Noah GHC Heavyweight Championship, I think within the next month. So he might actually end up winning the title.
Oh, that's cool.
He's going to be facing Go Shizaki. So, that might be interesting to check out.
Have he and Elvis ever faced off while he had that strap?
Eddie and Muda?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Would have been interesting, though. I would have been down for that. Yeah, Muda only came on recently with Noah, because I think when Eddie was there, Noah... Was he still doing stuff with the W1 before they closed? I don't know. He wasn't in Noah, because I think he just popped up in Noah last year. But I'm excited. Go Suzuki's having a kind of a career renaissance right now, and he's in a few categories on our voting. So when that comes up Monday, go to the website realnerdcorp.com, REALNERDCORP.com to go vote. That's all we got for you guys this week. We're done. No download this week. That's why the YouTube was super long. Apologies. Marcus, you can be found on Twitter at ParadoxKid, PARADOXKID.
That's me.
You can also find him on his other podcast, The True Penny Show, on Twitter at True Penny Show, TRUEPENNYSHOW. You can find me on Twitter at Chad Nerdcorp, CHADNERDCORP, and on the Instagram at Chad's Photo Hut. This is the last show of the week, so you guys have a good Thanksgiving. We'll be back next Tuesday, so no more offerings for the rest of the week. So just try to accept it. It's going to be okay. And next Tuesday we'll have the awards already up, and we will talk a bit about who's on the list, who we think might have the advantage, and then, obviously voting will probably go on for at least 2, maybe 3 weeks heading into Christmas, and then we'll also start banging out our Hall of Fame setup by then as well. So that's what we got going on. For Marcus Green, I'm Chad Portal. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking us out. Thanks for giving us a chance. Remember to watch more wrestling. And Marcus, take us home.
Good night, me.